Hello and welcome to the Success Stories series. We have Tahami Fatima with us. I would like her to introduce to everyone here. Go ahead.
I'm Fatima Thami, and I am a child specialist by profession, pediatrician, currently working in Bangalore.
All right. And can you please share your IELTS score with us?
Yeah, I got 8.5 in listening and 8 in reading, and writing 7.5, speaking 8.
Okay, perfect. That was a CLB 10. So how did you manage to score that much? What was your preparation strategy?
Actually, I feel that without preparation, it's difficult to score such high band because the method is very different. It's not just an English language. There are certain tricks and certain criteria to be fulfilled. So I felt practice is most important. For me, it was around 20 to 20 days of practice and around 1 or 2 hours per day. Yeah, that's all. But since language was not a major problem for me, but I had a lot of problem in idea generation. But with the help of proper coaching and proper guidance, I could do well.
All right, that's great. So how did you prepare for writing specifically? Let me start with the most difficult or dreaded one. So what was the preparation strategy like?
Writing, actually, it was clearly discussed in the class that we have to paraphrase and we have to write an overview. So initially, before I joined the class, I really could not get any ideas. But after joining this coaching, I realized that we just need 2 points for each like advantage and disadvantage, and we need to elaborate on it more. So it's not about more of idea generation and number of points. It's more how you form that, how you organize your thoughts, and how do you write it down like in a systematic way. So with points given, I could easily do it. Even it was really tough in the beginning, but then practice is really important, especially for the writing part.
Absolutely. So how many practice tests or how many essays and reports did you write?
I do not have an actual number, but I used to make sure that I practice every alternate day. Depends on my duty schedule. So at least alternate days in the last 1 month I have practiced.
So that would
at least
be
one essay.
10 to 15 maximum, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to speaking.
Speaking, I was really tense for speaking because this was held 3 days before my entire test. And the problem, what I feared the most was what if they ask some topics which I'm absolutely not aware of. For example, business and sports, because I'm completely not aware of these fields. But before the test, 3 days before the test, I just went through all the like topics and the books or whatever topics they can ask, and I practiced it. Yeah, I kept practicing it, and mainly it was not about the practice of speaking, mainly it was ideas for me. So I kept practicing that, and I made sure I know somebody, at least one person in sports, at least one person in business, so that at least I can speak something, and then I can correlate with other fields and just speak about it for something like that.
All right. So did you find any questions that were unrealistic or you had no idea about and you were, struggling to come up with ideas for that?
The part one was quite easy because it was more kind of personal. And part two was also, I got a good idea. I got a story and I just elaborated it. But part three was difficult, and it was something about about customs, and also the question which I could not get an idea was about, the question was why do people still follow the customs, and also I had really no idea, but I said, like, I really don't understand why, and I just dragged it like that. but I spoke something because that's what was taught, and that's what I
Yes,
had practiced. So
definitely. So the agenda is to speak as much as possible, even if the answer is not entirely related or relevant to the topic. So the last resort is to speak something that is closely related to that topic or that question that has been asked to you, rather than staying quiet, because it's the speaking test. And of course, the examiner wants to hear you, wants to listen to you, and that's how they'll be able to grade you on the 4 parameters. Otherwise, they will not be able to help you in attaining any of those higher bands, because you haven't spoken anything, so they can't grade you. So yeah, that is definitely one thing you guys should keep in mind, that whenever you come across any unusual question, which is going to be very rare, it's very rare that you would come across one such question wherein you would have no idea about it. So just in case that happens, don't go blank, just start and build that momentum, and you'll end up saying something or the other related to that topic. And when you say that, that is going to be the evaluation criteria for the examiner. So they're going to pick that information. They're not going to check whether that information is right or wrong. They just want to assess you. So yeah, good point there. Moving on to the listening test.
The listening part, I felt attention is the most important here. And while practicing, I used to lose a lot of focus. And sometimes I tried making notes while the listening part, but that didn't work. I ended up making more mistakes when I started taking notes. So during exams, you will always your stress hormones are already on a higher level. So I think that wouldn't be a problem on the exam day. But yeah, it was, you have to make sure that you remain focused and just look for the words which come along that sentence in which the blank is. So just wait for that when the speaking is, and just write it down. And initially it is better to write it down in a question paper and then transfer your answers, because you don't want to miss any word or any sentence. So make sure you write it clearly. And a lot of distractions are there in listening. So make sure you catch them, because once they tell the answer and then they cut it off. So I wrote that answer, then I slashed it off, and then wrote the next answer.
Yes.
So that was clear, and it helped me later on when transferring the answers.
Those are common traps. So they would say something and then they would correct it in the conversation itself. So probably it's a phone number, or let's say someone is spelling their name. So they would say, yeah, my name is Sanji. Oh, no, it's not I, it's E. So they would change it. So these are common traps, and you have to be really attentive, because they might correct themselves in the very next sentence, and you might miss out on it thinking that, okay, I've already answered this one, let me move on to the next question. So please don't do that. Be really, really attentive, and also be mindful of what you're doing. So one of the students recently, I'm deviating from the topic a little, gave me a call like a couple of days ago, and he said that I've scored somewhere around 4 or 5 bands in reading in the real test, and he was expecting somewhere around 7. And the issue was that he messed up the order. So corresponding to the 5th question, he wrote the answer for the 6th one, and then the series got messed up till the 40th question. And that is a very, very silly mistake. And if you do that, it's actually a blunder, I would say, because if you had ordered it correctly, the answers would have been correct. But then since you messed up the order, everything goes haywire. So be very particular about that as well. In case if you're taking the paper-based test, as she has taken, you would get extra 10 minutes in case of your listening test, but you wouldn't get any extra time in reading. So be particular about that as well. So moving on to reading now.
Yeah, reading was, as was taught in the class, first go through the questions and then come to the paragraph. Because even though you read one paragraph completely, it's not enough. Because again, the question is a little confusing, and you will have to go back and read the sentences again. And you can't keep reading a paragraph entirely 4 or 5 times. So best strategy is look at the questions and then go back to the paragraph. The difficult part is when they ask for the heading of each paragraph. So what I did for that was, in that you have to read the entire passage. So in that, what I did was, first I read the first passage, and then I went through the answers. Is any of this heading or answers fitting into the first? If it is fitting, I write it against it, and if two are more likely to be the answer, so I write both the points and then move to the next.
Perfect.
So sometimes I get something which is more accurate for the second answer, then I cut that off and bring it. So overall, each paragraph I read, then see the answer and mark it. So one by one, I was having a good hold of what the content of each paragraph is, and at the end it was easier for me that way.
So basically, you were following the elimination method. You were writing down the probable answers that could have been associated with that particular paragraph, and ultimately you were eliminating them as in when the other appropriate answer would have figured it out, right?
Yeah.
So that is what you were doing, and that's absolutely the same strategy that I recommend, that you need to follow the elimination method. Instead of searching for the right answer, start eliminating the wrong answers and you will ultimately reach the right answer. So that is the focus.
Exactly.
Yes. So how many readings did you practice?
I practiced 2 Cambridge books actually.
So that's more than sufficient. So those would be 8 reading tests, 8 reading and probably 8 listening tests. So perfect. That's the right amount of practice that is needed. You don't have to practice 20 or 30 writing reading or listening tests. You just have to practice about 10. That's more than sufficient. So perfectly fine. I'm really happy with your scores. That's a perfect CLB 10. So moving on to my next question. How did you manage your time? So I'll tell you the background story here, everyone who's watching this video. So it took me almost 10 days to schedule this interview with her because she is really, really busy with her work. And how did you manage?
Actually, I use a planner, and I usually like to balance things in my life. So apart from my work, I make sure I focus on my health. So before every night, I plan, I write, this has to be done, that has to be done. And I'm not all the time so serene and so strict, but there are 2-3 days in a week where I feel, no, today I will not plan anything. So I had to practice it even when I'm going for my work, when I get free time there. So I just take my iPad, I practice there because that's the only time I get. And when I come home, I'm really tired. Yeah.
Oh my God.
In the hospital.
Right. So all of that hard work has paid off, definitely paid off. So, finding time, and you deal with children, right? So it's even more hectic, I understand. So that's a great way of planning your day and managing your time. So good job with that. Kudos. Moving on to whether it was paper-based or computer delivered, I understand, since you've mentioned that you've spent the extra 10 minutes in transferring the answers to the answer sheet, it was definitely paper-based. So any specific reason why you chose paper-based test?
Actually, I'm not used to computer-based. My work is more of writing. So I would never choose a computer-based. Also, while writing, normally we are used to using Word, and it autocorrects many of the sentences. Many of the words are autocorrected. So you kind of not know what the right answer is. So probably if you take a computer-based test, you would tend to create a lot of mistakes. So writing was quite easier for me. I didn't have any problem with that.
So because you're used to writing with pen and paper, it's
and
complete contrast when it comes to the IT sector. So whenever I take the interview of any candidate who has successfully cleared the test and is from the IT sector, they say we are very comfortable with laptops and we are comfortable with typing and all of that. So yeah, this is a complete contrast here. All right. So any piece of advice for the future aspirants?
Yeah, I would say practice is the major thing here to pass the test. So it depends on your capability. If in your practice test, if you are already scoring around 6 or 7 band, if you're testing yourself, then I think 20 days of practice would be good enough. But if not, you need a lot more practice, maybe a month or a two, and basically go through their what their criteria is, and not make your own ideas about it, because they have a certain strict way of analyzing you. So just go through it, and it's easier. Once you practice, it will get easier. So best method is practice. That's all I would say.
All right. Yes, practicing is the key. And on top of that, stop making excuses. If someone like her who has a hectic schedule wherein she has to spend almost 24 hours in the ICU at times, and if she could manage time well and prepare for the test, so can you. And all you have to do is be systematic, follow the guidance that's given to you, and practice a lot. So that's about it from our end. Hi, thank you so much and congratulations once again. If you need any help with your immigration process or anything else, you can reach out to us anytime. We are here to help you out. Thank you so much for your precious
Thank you.
time and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.